Okay, let's look at how you might solve the ending assignment, the wrap-up for week 1. Now, on the first one, you need to create a Crowsfoot ERD to include the following business rules, A through F. Now, remember, on an ERD, you have to also include the connectivity and the cardinality, or the association and the relationship between the two. So again, I told you you could write this out, but if I were doing this in Visio, let's look at the first one. Each sales representative writes many invoices. So this tells me that I have a sales representative in one entity and an invoice in another. So let's go to Visio and look at this part of it. Now again, you can go through and start a new file, and it's going to have the software and databases. So I can click and drag my entity out here. Now once I do, it has table 1, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to sales rep. Yours might be named different, that's fine. Then I'm going to have another entity out here, and it's going to be an invoice. Oops. Okay. Now when we look at these, again, a sales representative has many invoices, but an invoice is only by one sales representative. So going from invoice to sales representative, this is going to be one to many. So when I go and write this, I can take the relationship out. I'm going to start at the rep and take it over to the invoice. Okay. Now, again, whenever we look at this, let me get my little symbol correct, and then line it up. Now notice again, I have if you go back to the notations, when you look at these, the H is a one and only one sales representative. Invoice, now this one is not a one to many, it is a 0 to many. If I wanted this to be a one to many, then I need to change it. I would need to go in, and I selected it. In here, I can say one or more. It said nothing on our paper about 0. Now, if you did put there might be 0 invoices written by a sales rep, but a sales rep could still exist without writing an invoice, that could also be acceptable. Okay. Now, when we look at these, if we wanted to be able to do anything such as work with the actual association, we has as our phrase. We have definitions. Again, we can look at the verb phrase and put what is association. So if I wanted a sales rep writes an invoice, I could put the writes here. It's whatever association you have. Now the inverse phrase, unless you wanted to also display, then you have to wipe it out. Okay. Some of these can, again, also be controlled under database, options, and document. If I don't want the inverse, I can simply take it out of the relationship. Remember, you might have to make the crow's feet show up depending upon what you did as far as creation of the file. Okay, now I have the first one. Another example. When I go through here, our next one on the list would be a sales representative is assigned to one department, but each department has many sales representatives. Again, we already have our sales representatives entity. We need to add our department entity. So again, I'll go back, and now I'm going to put another entity here. And let's say that this is going to be our, again, department. And our relations, again, I'm going to do the one first. So when I drag my relationship, it's going to be one sales representative has many departments. I'm sorry, we look at it again. Now that I have taken it through, I have started at my sales representative, which is that one and only one. But a sales representative is assigned to a department, but a department can have many sales representatives. So again, when I draw this out, if I want a 0, then within that, it's the miscellaneous. If I want to say they have to have at least 1, then I can change it here. Now remember, this can be any one of these. Where's one or more. Then I have my name, which is my verb, and they're assigned. And I'm not showing the inverse. Now if I need a little more room, I can always scoot these down to make sure that I have more room for my connectivity to show up. I could go ahead and do the last one, because we do have customers and invoices. But if we look at the whole thing, then we have a sales rep, we have our department, and we've already done our invoice. On here, when we look at what the customer says, the customer can generate many invoices. So one customer, many invoices. And each invoice is generated by one customer. So again, we have our relationship, and we also have the connectivity or the association between those. That's the first part of the assignment. The next part of the assignment, you need to write the business rules for each one of these. Okay. Now, if I go up here and look at an example, each book is written by only one author. So that means that I always read this from the one to the many side. So each author only has one book. If I look at this, it would be that each book only has one publisher. Each contract only submits to one publisher. So looking around these, for actually writing out each one of those, I could say one publisher can publish many books, and each book has one publisher. A publisher can submit many contracts, but each contract is only for one publisher. One author can sign many contracts, but a contract has only one author. Just like one author can write many books, but each book is only by one author. So if you notice, we always say it in a two-way relationship direction. However, we always start off with the one first. I hope this helps. Continue on.